Good morning and welcome to Now Streaming on Advent Cable Network Nigeria Television, ACNNTV. Today we bring you a story that sits at the intersection of faith, politics and the global conscience. A story that has drawn the attention of nations, stirred conversations among Christians and reopened old questions about justice, security and the value of human life in our beloved country, Nigeria. In recent days, United States President Donald Trump has once again placed Nigeria on America's religious freedom watch list, describing the situation of Christians in our nation as an existential threat. He has spoken of possible sanctions and even hinted at military intervention, words that have sent ripples across the international community. The Nigerian government, under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, has firmly rejected these claims, stating that Nigeria protects the rights of all its citizens, Christians and Muslims alike, and that our nation's challenges, though grave, are rooted in complex layers of terrorism, communal conflicts, and socio-economic struggle, not religion alone. Yet, beyond the statement and statistics, there lies a deeper human story, one written in tears, in faith, and in resilience. Reports from global organizations like Open Doors and the United States Commission on International Religious Freedom reveal that thousands of Christians have been killed or displaced in the past years. Churches have been attacked, families torn apart, and communities left in mourning. But in all this, the light of faith continues to shine in worship, in compassion, and in courage to forgive. The Church of Nigeria Anglican Communion has described our nation as a land flowing with tears and blood, but also a land that can arise again through justice, unity, and peace. So this morning we ask, what does this international spotlight mean for Nigeria and our Christian community? Is this movement a call to accountability or a misunderstanding of our complex realities? And most importantly, how can the church, the body of Christ, lead the way towards truth, healing, and reconciliation? Stay with us as we unpack this sensitive but vital conversation, seeking wisdom, understanding, and above all, hope, right here on Now Streaming on ACNNTV. I am Boluwatife Adegboye, your anchor for today, and I won't be doing this alone this morning, and I have with me in the studio my co-anchor,
Somtochukwu Lokizu. Thank you, Bolu.
Good morning, Somtochukwu.
Good morning, Bolu.
And happy new month.
Happy new month.
No, your face is very looking.
Yeah, that's true. The last time I saw you was last month.
All right, thank you very much. And also joining us virtually are Venerable Justice Okoronkwo from Just Diocese and Engineer Mark Libdo, who is the founder and CEO of Stephanos Foundation, a Christian-based human rights advocacy and relief organization working to address the violent conflicts in Nigeria. Viewers, don't forget you are part of this conversation. Feel free to call us using the number showing on your screen or through any of our social media platforms also showing on your screen. So let the conversation begin, and before we do that, we'll just take a look at some of the newspaper headlines that we have with us, and we are going to be starting with my co-anchor, Somtochukwu.
Thank you, Bolu. We're beginning with the Punch newspaper this morning, and over the masthead there, which is what is trending right now in Nigeria, keeping everyone on their toes, is the country of particular concerns blacklist. And it says 12 Nigerian governors and other officials may face U.S. sanctions. The story we can find on page 2. And just a little kickers below that says government officials, judges risk asset freeze in new U.S. law. Tinubu and U.S. Vice President may meet amid tensions. So the story we can find on page 2 of the Punch newspaper. And beside that, we have a cool controversy which we can find on page 7. It says Silver's brother's driver still in custody. And below that, a story on page 3 It says student loan applicants hit 1 million, and it's quite alarming. I wish we can just look into that briefly, my uncle. And then lastly, what we have to take on the Punch newspaper is a story still on page 7 that says Makinde block regroups as autumn fires say back Wiki. And now moving on to the Vanguard newspaper this morning. It says a story on page 14, challenges before Amiputan by Jega. Story we can find on page 14, and on page 15 we have Soludo gains momentum in Ekwusigo Nnewi South. And then the major story we have there still on the Trump issues, it says outrage over plan to attack Nigeria. The story we can find on page 5 of the Vanguard newspaper. And lastly, we'll take a story that is on page 9 that says battle for PDP soul deepens as factions dig in. That's all we have to take this morning. Thank you, Bolo.
All right, thank you very much. And still with us, we are going to be looking at Daily Global newspaper this morning. And the lead story there says alleged genocide. Tinubu Trump will clarify issues when they meet. This is coming from Daniel Balade. And we also have NDLEA busts clandestine Colos lab in Lagos. Intercepts loud consignment in bathtubs. We also have Femi Oyewale, Simon Kolawole received T.Y. Burata Humanity Care Foundation Award for Excellence in Journalism. We also have Tinubu's economic reforms essential for Nigeria's growth. This is coming from the governor of Edo State, Monday Okwebolo. We also have right there everything Prime Minister Ayodele said about America's interference in Tinubu's government has come to pass. And above the basket there we have JAMB extends public university admission deadline to November 17. And we quickly move swiftly to the Guardian newspaper. And the lead story there still on the Christian genocide. Trump's warning unsettles Nigeria, raises concerns over religion and sovereignty. That story is on page 6 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have how DSS aborted Utomi's aberrative shadow cabinet through legal process. That story is on page 22 of the Guardian newspaper. We have NRC train derails 189th time, 3 days after resumption. That story is on page 7 of the Guardian newspaper. We also have resident doctors, federal government clash over 48 billion naira areas as strike paralyzes hospitals nationwide. That story is on page 6. We also have NEJ decries surge in attacks and impunity against journalists. That story is on page 30. And that's the much we can take on the newspaper headline this morning. To get full details and gist about all of this headline, ensure you grab a copy of any of this newspaper that may be of interest to you. All right, thank you very much for staying tuned with us. So before we dive into the conversation this morning, we have some clips and videos to show you. Stay tuned.
Don't know whether I'll be the next. But for me, I've already told my family, my members, if they kidnap me, nobody should contribute one kobo. My grace will speak that will lead to Christian liberation. That day is coming. I'm just waiting for them. Even I will tell them, please kill me quickly, because nobody will do it. And if they call home, they will tell them our daddy covenant last will that we should never pay a kobo. Please kill him, because my blood will be useful while I'm in the grave. He will fight to finish him. And I know Jesus has approved that for me.
Well, I will tell you clearly, it is true. It is true because we are victims of this crisis. In 2001, specifically, when crisis started in, let me use Plateau State, about 50 people were in Kokin Church worshiping God in the Yelwa town of Shendam local government in Plateau State, when the Islamic terrorists attacked them, closed the door and burnt all of them, about 50 of them. You can go and do that research, it's there. Now, if it wasn't Christian genocide, Why were they targeting church alone? After that, crisis busted out again, and they slaughtered a lot of people. My uncle was literally slaughtered in front of his house in the same Yelwa, Shendam. In fact, it took the military to intervene to quell the issue. And then our houses in Yelwa, in the village, because I'm from Shendam local government, our houses, 3 of our houses, were burnt by these Islamic terrorists. So it was not targeted at Muslims. Muslims were not killed. It was later on some of the indigents stood up to try to retaliate, and the military intercepted. Now, apart from that, I remember the crisis also in Jos, and how Christians were being killed. So the issue of Christian genocide is true, because I've been in the know of everything that was going on. In fact, I don't want to talk much, but there was a Muslim guy that we one time led to Christ. His son was an imam. The father is an imam. And he told us that the mosque that was built in Jos has 5 gates. And the 5 gates, that means dominion. And we're going to start seeing crisis. In that same year, a lot of crisis busted out, and there were killings of many Christians from different places. So I can tell you clearly, it's Christian genocide. I know there are many terrorist issues in the country. There are issues of banditry that must be separated from the Islamic extremists and terrorists. There are issues of banditry, which leads to kidnapping, that on both Christians and Muslims are being kidnapped. So it's different. But when we talk about Christian genocide, it is true because it has been happening. And so that's my stand. Invasion, but I believe it's an interception. It is help that is coming, because lives are being slaughtered. To me, Nigerian government does not value lives. Human lives are sacred, whether Muslims or Christians. Human lives are sacred to God. So no religious sect should wake up and want to eliminate a particular religious sect because they want to dominate the land and they want to be prominent in government or control the nation. It is an error. It is not acceptable to anybody that thinks well, whether Muslims or Christians. The truth is that it's an error. So we support the coming of the US to intercept, because the government is failing. They slaughter people in hundreds and nobody does anything. We have a very strong military in Nigeria. We have good armed forces. But because of the manipulations going on through politics and other things, people that are involved, top government officials that are involved for personal gain, they will not be able to quell it. Not because the Nigerian forces cannot handle this. Is a minor case, very minor. If they really want to cop this issue, they will cop it. But because nothing is being done, we need an intervention from the United States and other international security forces. That's just why we need them. So we can't continue to have lives being slaughtered at some people's selfish reasons. We can't continue to have that.
And do you think there will not be any kind of backslash?
Well, I believe that will definitely happen, because such things cannot happen without backlash. You understand? Some people will try to quell it, they will try to resist it, and all of that.
So are we ready for it?
We are ready. Because, you see, when there's going to be a massive change, we must be ready to bear the consequences. At the end of the day, everything will calm down. But this has to be tackled, and this is the best time. This thing has been going on for years. A lot of people have been slaughtered. It has to stop. And since we don't want to stop it, we need international, intervention. So I support Donald Trump in intervening in the case of Nigeria.
Your name was again?
Prophet John Andreas.
Report or notion that there is a Christian persecution or genocide in Nigeria is false. False both from the premise and the conclusion. It is not supported by data. All the report we have so far seen, from assessment from USIP, assessment from Amnesty International, from European Union, have all attested to the fact that there were serious cases of killing, but that from 2022-23 down to 2025, there have been marked improvement. In fact, there is a decline in the rate of killings. So it is intriguing and surprising for us how an old report is being used for this type of thing. But we are all about solution. And because we know America is a partner and they have been very helpful, we see it that it is probably a clarion call for us to have a sit down and then discuss how we can forge a common front in this fight against insurgency. We are willing. anytime, any day. I personally, I have a feeling that in the next couple of days, they are going to have a sit down together, and then we will find a common front in this fight against insecurity.
Nigeria, just wanted to ask you, do you envisage US boots on the ground?
Could be. I mean, a lot of things I envisage, a lot of things. They're killing record numbers of Christians in Nigeria. And they have other countries very bad also. You know that part of the world, very bad. They're killing the Christians and killing them in very large numbers. We're not going to allow that to happen.
To put this in context, if you put together all the Christians persecuted for their faith around the globe, Rachel, they do not compute to the high numbers in Nigeria. As Charlie just mentioned, 52,000 killed since 2009. That equals, there's a group called Intersociety, which does pretty good polling on the ground. They say that's about 35 Christians killed every day. Okay, 3 churches are destroyed every day in this area. And look, it's a combination. In northern Nigeria, you have both Muslims and Christians being killed. But in the Middle Belt and elsewhere, it's all Christians being slaughtered. And the perpetrators here are Boko Haram, whose name we know, right. An Islamic terrorist group. You have these Fulani herdsmen who run around on horses or on motorcycles with machine guns. They literally mow these Christians down, these farmers who are tending to their land. It is an outrage. And back in 2017, the Trump administration designated Nigeria as a country of particular concern, which came with sanctions. Well, when the Biden administration came along, Anthony Blinken lifted that designation. He said these murders were being committed because of climate change.
All right, thank you for staying tuned, and this is still Now Streaming Show coming to you live from Advent Cable Network Nigeria, and we dive straight into the conversation this morning. And we are looking at US government designates Nigeria country of particular concern. Now, what does this mean for Nigeria? What does it mean for the regular Nigerian, the average Nigerian? What does this mean for the political class? What does this mean for the people of Christian faith? And what does this mean for the people of other faith in the country? And to do justice to that, this morning with me in the studio is my co-anchor, Somto Chukwukizu.
Thank you, Bolu. I don't know what you mean by doing justice, but I'm here with you in the studio.
All right, thank you very much. And we also have with us Venerable Justice Okoronko, who is joining us virtually. Venerable, good morning, sir.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And we also have another of our guests who is joining us, Mr. Mark Lipdo, who is joining us also virtually this morning. Good morning, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you very much, sir. And we are going to be starting with you, Venerable sir. This country of particular concern, what does this mean for Nigeria? Your thoughts?
Thank you very much. We woke up to the news on Friday that the United States had placed Nigeria as a country of particular concern in view of the killing of Christians and what has been called, termed genocide. And for many people, it means different things depending on who you are talking to. If you're talking to those in government, it means something different to them. The politicians, it means something different to them. The business people, they are looking at it from their economic issues. Those in office, So it depends on who you are talking to. But largely what it means is that the United States is putting Nigeria on a watch list. It means they are going to be monitoring the news. It means they are going to be looking into statistics. It means they are going to be sending a team, if possible, to investigate, to gather facts, and then use those things to put in policies, by the grace of God, to prevent those killings. And when we are talking about policies to prevent those killings, it means that they are looking at options that involve policy making, advocacy, and if possible, and non-kinetic options. But they may also think of kinetic options, which means a military intervention if it comes to that, that is like a worst case scenario. But these are all the options, and all these options are on the table. But it means that the issues about killings of Christians in Nigeria is no longer going to just be a matter that happens within the boundaries of Nigeria, that the United States says we are watching and we are interested. That is largely what it means.
All right, thank you very, very much, Venerable there. Mr. Mark Libdo, your own thoughts. What does this mean? Venerable has given us an angle of what it means to the. It means a different thing to the politicians. It means a different thing to the businessmen. To you, what does this mean?
Yes, thank you very much for this privilege and opportunity for me to share with Nigeria and the world on this issue. For us, it is about time. We are concerned about America intervention at this time, and we hear so many comments coming from different angles about why America intervention and how are they going to intervene and all that, and what rights they have to intervene in Nigerian affairs. In order to shed light to what it is about freedom of religion and belief. Freedom of religion and belief is one of the laws that is enshrined into United Nations human rights laws. And that means that all over the world, everybody has a right to believe anything they feel and they choose to believe, and they have a right to practice any religion of their choice. Now, having understood that, look back into our country. Over 2 decades now, you see the struggle that is going on in this country. It does not have respect for that law. Let's cast our minds back to 1999, where at least some states in this country inaugurated Sharia. Now, Sharia is a body of law that is there to control the lives of Muslims. It's okay if Sharia is going to claims alone, but how is it going to play in the freedom of the practice of Christianity in this country? That was a question that nobody has answered. But in playing, we saw that the respect for Sharia, how that these 12 states inaugurated Sharia, they did not mind that there were non-Muslims in many of those states. In the first place, that in itself marginalizes the rights of those people within that state. And then in the practice of it, it does not take into cognizance the rights of those people. We have Christians in northern Nigeria complaining about the fact that they are denied right to places of worship or building of the places of worship in some states. Those agitations, those marginalization went on for quite some time until it went into a kind of targeting of non-Muslims in the streets of some of these states in northern Nigeria. And we see that sometimes people are accused of blasphemy and they are targeted by mobs and they are killed until we see mob actions going on in different parts of this country. And it went on and on until some people felt that they want to embolden that. And then they form a group, insurgent group that came out boldly to say that they are an Islamic group that is standing to enforce Sharia by force in this country. And they are the Boko Haram. We know what Boko Haram did in this country. Boko Haram targeted churches. My church was targeted in February 26, 2006 or 16, thereabout. My church Cooking headquarters in Plateau State targeted with a bomb. And so many other churches were bombed around by Boko Haram. And as if it was not enough, we found out that Fulani, who are headers, who have been before now peace-loving people going about their activities in the bushes, all of a sudden these people become militarized, carrying out sophisticated ammunitions and going about, targeting communities in villages and killing people. We recorded that over some years. Now, one thing is that when people raise an issue of human rights violation in this country, there is a way that people respond to. And some religions respond to it as if there is nobody that is rising to touch them. And so they give a blind eye to it. They turn the back on it. And most of these people find their way into government, and that is how the government also started playing. And there was nobody to address the issue of killings that was going on. We recorded this in 2009. We brought out a book, Religious Intolerance, a threat to Nigeria's unity. And all here were the complaints of Christians in northern Nigeria of what is happening to them in some of these Sharia states. And when that was not adhered to, we also published a book in 2014 that is titled Killings in North and Central Nigeria, a threat to ethno-religious freedom and democracy. And we published this, made it public for people to understand that there are some group of people that are feeling threatened. But that went into a blind eye, and nobody addressed that issue. And up to today, under 4 successive administrations of governance in this country, Stephanos Foundation has been recording instances of violence targeting Christians.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. We've heard your thoughts loud and clear. Viewers, remember, you can also be part of this show this morning by kindly calling the number showing on your screen or sending in your comment via our various social media platforms. Something.
Yeah, thank you, Bolu. From what the engineer just said, it's and also what you just hinted me in the studio, it shows that there have been a long years of ignorance and turning on a blind eye to our current situation in Nigeria. It's not just something that has happened within the past 1 year or 2 years of this administration. It's something that has been ongoing for a long time, and there have been a case of ignorance. So I'm coming to you, Venerable Justice. We can establish the fact that there's really Christian genocide here in Nigeria. Christians are dying, and so now Trump has warned or released a statement that if care is not taken and the killing of Nigerians continue, killing of Christians in Nigeria continue, that there might be a military intervention from their end, and also have informed the Department of War to prepare. It said it's going to be swift, it's going to be quick, and there was a statement he made that I smiled about. He said it's going to be sweet. But a whole lot of concerned Nigerians have spoken that, no, Trump doesn't have our best interests at heart. That is not the best way to go about this. So I want to ask you, Venerable Justice, what are your thoughts in regards to that statement that was made by President Trump?
Okay, thank you so much again. First of all, we establish a case of genocide. If we establish a case of genocide, then the question is, what is happening in response to it? Uncle Lito just told you that they have documented those books that he talked about. These are things that we have seen in Jaws and here in Jaws. Anybody that is looking for facts will have enough facts to know that something terrible is happening within the Middle Belt. Now, listen to me again. What are the indices when you say a genocide is happening? The indices for a genocide is that one, a particular people, whether tribal or religious people or a minority group, is targeted for extinction deliberately. Then the 5 things you should watch out for is that one, are the people being killed? 2, are the people being put in harm's way? 3, are the people's property and sources of livelihood being destroyed? 4, are the people being targeted to reduce their birth rates? 5, are the children of the people being displaced? Globally, these are the 5 indices that anywhere it happens, it means that you have a solid case illegally that a genocide is happening. These 5 things, we can give you reports here in Jos. I've been in Jos. I've been doing ministry in Jos since the 90s. I was born here in Jos. I grew up in Jos. I'm still in Jos. And the Anglican Diocese of Jos is the headquarters of Jos Province, covering everything going on in Bauchi, Gombe, Adamaturu, Adamawa, Maiduguri, Yobe. And as the missions director, I have been to these areas. And I dare to challenge anybody, including Boala that is talking. I challenge him to look at those 5 things and tell us that we have no case. To look at those 5 things and say that there is no issue. As I'm talking to you now, the Miango lands, many of their lands have been abandoned. They have been taken. Boala, has he been to Tegbe? Has he been to Rousseau? Has he been to Kedoron? I tell Bala, has he been to Bachit? Has he been to Gashish? Has he been to Exlam? I asked Bala, has he been to the areas in Bokos? Has he been to Barkeladi, the areas of the killings? The recent areas where killings have happened in Mangu, has he been there? Listen to me, tell Bala that I said, when he is coming into Jos and he stops at Marraban Jama'a, from Marraban Jama'a, just look at your right, you will see those masks of Nitel. Behind that place, you have a people that we call the Zadia attacker people. It's a minority group. As I'm talking to you today, it's extinct. Their lands have been overrun by headers. They have been killed. Their places burnt. And many of their people are now living in Fat and Kreshi. And some of them are living in Gidawaya. Some of them are living in building material here in Jos, dislocated. So any child that is born from this community has no connection to history, doesn't know his people again. I have been to the ITB camp in Makoti, where people that have been displaced from their communities have been in the ITB camp for more than 13 years. 13 years. So what do you talk about the birth rates in those areas? People in there, husbands and wives are not allowed to stay together. So birth rate of the Tiv people is coming down, not by their own choices. Children are being displaced. People where they have had mass abductions. I just want to say this so that people who are exhibiting their ignorance on media should stop doing so. What does it take to find out? Bring in people who are objective and let's go on a forensic fact-finding mission. And we will go there and show you. The past 2 primates, Baba Akiola, was with us when we did the mass funeral at Dogona Hawa. I was there. We buried more than 300 people as the missions director of the Anglican Diocese of Jos. So when we talk about things happening, they are there. Now, just as Uncle Lito is saying, news about these things have been said again and again. Archbishop Kwashi has talked and people have gotten tired of hearing him. Many people around this area have spoken, people have gotten tired of hearing them. So the question is, for how long should people keep quiet? Why are people suddenly talking because Donald Trump is saying there is a genocide? For us in Jos, it's not news. We have talked about this before. For us in the Middle Belt, it's not news.
Okay, so
then people are now saying that why should there be military intervention? Let me say it like this. It is like somebody's house being on fire, and then fire brigade is coming, then they are bringing water from a river, then you say, no, they must use water from your well, whereas your well is dry. Our Nigerian military have expressed that they are overwhelmed. They do not have the numbers to spread around these areas. They do not have the logistics. They do not have the things for kinetic intervention and to be able to protect people. And we really appreciate their frustrations. So the question is, should people sit down? Our gun laws do not allow communities to defend themselves. The people that are coming, you have Uncle Lido say, these Fulani people have been peaceful people that we have lived with before. I grew up with them in Barkenladi, and some of my childhood friends were Fulanis. We go to the farms and pluck mangoes together with them. This is not the kind of Fulanis we are seeing now.
Okay.
People are being killed daily. Dead bodies are being stacked. And people say the method of intervention. I want you to know, if you look at it from the lens of the victim, we don't care about the method of intervention. The most important thing is what needs to be done to stop these killings.
Okay.
If the Nigerian government will not permit communities to defend themselves, then let help come from anywhere it's going to come. I'm telling you that it's about time it happens.
Okay, Venerable, there's this notion, popular saying that there is a motive to Islamize Nigeria, and for Jos in particular, we know that Jos happens to be a Christian state. So I want to ask, do you agree with that notion that there is an agenda to Islamize Nigeria? And secondly, considering the fact that Jos is a Christian state, do you feel that the reason behind this atrocities, the reason behind this killing, is to see that the numbers of Christians in Jos are being reduced, and probably the Muslims now take over, and now Jos would also now be counted as part of an Islamic state? Do you think that is the agenda behind this, Venerable?
When it comes to agenda, in communication, we say people do not respond to you based on your intention. People respond to you based on the perception. What is the perception? The perception is based on what we see on the ground. And what we see on the ground, land grabbing, occupation of areas that used to be Christian communities, and now they've been driven. And then we are now seeing that the Christian presence in the public space is being shrunken deliberately. Then if somebody says that there is an agenda of Islamization, it's correct. Listen to me again. The people who are attacking do not mince words. They say clearly they are running on a cause for Islam. And this is where our friends in the mosque have a lot of work to do. The work they have to do is, the person that is attacking says he's doing it for Islam. The people being killed say they were being killed because they are not Muslims. We have victims who at the point of the attack, slogans were being shouted. That is, prayers of Islam was being shouted. My church member was killed in dawn. She was shot on the head. The little girl hid in the ceiling, and while she was in the ceiling there, she saw so many things that were done in the name of Islam where the killings were going on. Excuse me, this is a victim telling you directly. I rescued people from Tebe when 22 people were killed in the classroom. I found 3 people that were still alive. I carried them in my car, rushed to Jews, and they were saved by the grace of God. Wow. But because they were there, and they say the people that were doing this were saying it's because of Islam. Listen to me again. When you look at the terrorist groups that have been ravaging these areas within the global, within the sub-Sahara, even up to where we are, you'll find that among them, all of them are having Islamic ideologies. So Boko Haram, ISWAP, the Fulani militants, all of them are saying that is what we are doing. So when you look at that, there is a case for that. Again, when the jihadists were coming in the early 20th century, you realize that the minority tribes that didn't want to be absorbed into Islam in the plains of the savannah, what did they do? They fled to the high mountains. They fled to the highlands. So you find these high mountains of Jos, moving down to the Mandara mountains, moving down to all those ones in Adamawa. You find that today, go and check the statistics, they have the highest concentration of minority tribes. These are people that didn't want to embrace jihad, they didn't want to embrace Islam. So they fled for their safety. When the missionaries were coming from the south, the Sudan Interior Mission, the Ajayi Crowder movement, all these things got to these people and they accepted Christianity. Their forefathers rejected Islam, they accepted Christianity. Now you will find them spread within this belt. This is a belt where they say they don't want to be Muslims. And they form a gospel shelter belt. So the movement of jihad downwards towards the south meets this resistance there. So if you have these people who say we do not want to be Muslims and they are Christians, and then it is among those areas the bomb started detonating, then anybody that is doing forensic investigation really has things that they can say are clear pointers. Uncle Ligdo was telling you about the attack on Cooking headquarters. Please listen to me. Anybody that comes to Jos now, if it was maybe 20 years ago, 30 years ago, if you ask a little child to make the drawing of a church, he will draw a building and put a cross on it. Today in Jos, if you ask a little child to do the drawing of a church for you, he will make the building, maybe put a cross in it, then he will put round concrete blocks around it. You wonder, what is he doing? Because most buildings in Jos, most church buildings in Jos now, put those huge concrete blocks to prevent a suicide bomber from going in, so that he will ram that place and then to reduce the casualties. It has become like part of the building. It has become part of the architecture. I'm in the church, St. Michael's Anglican Church in Busabuchi in Katahu. For every Sunday worship we have 13 people holding guns for us to be able to do our worship.
Wow.
St. Paul's Church, right in the center where I am right now, for us to have our service, we have 10 people holding guns, the hunters licensed by the government, holding guns for us to worship. It has become part of, excuse me, where is our right to worship without armed men? What Uncle Lindo is saying. For long, these things have been raised that the rights of Christians is being shrunken within this area. Must we have people with guns before we worship? Must we have people guarding us before we worship? So when you look at that, I can say that if you look at it from the perception, from what is being perceived, yes, there is a jihadist movement to Islamize Nigeria, which is targeting at the elimination of Christians in the public space. And when we say that, it is now left for our friends within the mosque and our Muslim clerics to prove that we are wrong, because we are talking from perception. If they say the intention is not correct, if they say that is not the intention, then the burden of proof is not with us. The burden of proof is with them to prove that this particular claim is wrong. And I'm still waiting for them to be able to prove that, because every single thing in terms of forensic investigation points to the fact that Christianity is threatened. Release International has shown out of 70% of the people that have been persecuted within the past 10 years, Christians in the world, 70% of them are from Nigeria. Is this a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that churches are being attacked? The building that within the recording you had, somebody was talking about the church building in Yelwa where people were burnt. Incidentally, me that I'm talking to you, I was part of the mission team that went for evangelism to start that church in Yelwa. I was part of it, and I know what it meant that people that were raised who are now serving the Lord were surrounded and burnt. Is it a coincidence that areas that are being attacked in Barkeladi are the areas where Christians are? We know where the Muslims are in Barkeladi, they were not attacked. Doro, Ababuja, and those areas were not attacked. Mango House, which has been called Mango Hale, was not attacked. Why is it that there is a skipping of those areas? How come these areas in Miango lands that I'm talking about, how come these are areas where you can find more than 95, 96, 90 or even 100% non-Muslim communities? These are the areas that have been clearly attacked and people have been removed from those areas. Excuse me, my brother. About 5 years ago, we went to the IDP camps that are in Jos. And in 2 IDP camps alone, we recorded nearly 10,000 people displaced. Not one of them was a Muslim. Not one was a Muslim. Anybody that cares for those statistics can come and we can give him those statistics. So what I'm saying is, in communication, people do not respond on your intention. They respond on the perception. And the perception we see on ground right now shows that yes, these attacks are on Christians. So we are leaving it to those who say it is not so. We give them, they have the burden of proof to show that this perception is wrong.
Thank you so much,
all right,
Venerable.
thank you very much, Venerable Justice Okoronkwo. So much to unpack from what you've just said. You've really opened the eyes of many of our viewers to what has been happening, the criminality that has been happening against Christians in the North Central, particularly using Plateau State as a sample. And I really hope that those who are in the appropriate authorities, they are listening and they will take the appropriate actions. And while we move to Mr. Mark Libdo there, I just wanted us to take a look at the pattern of some of these attacks, of this jihadist movement, from Somalia down through to Sudan, to South Sudan, to Libya, to Niger, and so many other countries who have close proximity with Nigeria. These criminals, these terrorists, have been moving in and out of our porous borders, and they've been spreading the message of jihadist movement. And right now we are saying that Human Rights Watch hails Trump as it accuses federal government of ignoring Christian genocide, because from what you've been able to say and from what Venerable Justice has told us, these has been happening for so long, and the Christians in the Middle Belt have been ignored for too long. And now we are having an Islamic cleric, Sheikh Ahmed Gumi, saying that he's urging President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to take decisive action against US. Now, to this extent, to this length, what exactly do you think is the impact of the Human Rights Watch accolades for Trump, and the response of Sheikh Ahmed Gumi to what the advice he has given to the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu against Trump? Your take?
Well,
You don't confuse that man.
hello?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, we are here now looking at the situation. People in Nigeria think that the world is just there sitting to watch what atrocity is going on here, and are not concerned about it the way we handle it in Nigeria. But one thing they don't understand is that Nigeria is part of a global village now, and the international community is giving close watch to what is happening. Don't be surprised that what is happening in Nigeria is much more recorded outside than even what is here. I am really disappointed that Sheikh Gumi, a very respectable cleric like him, will come out and just respond like that, thinking that he will advise the government to take a stand, such myopic stand. You know, the international community doesn't come to a conclusion just the way we do here. They have done an extensive study. And so to think that you will advise the president of Nigeria, President Tinubu, to do your bidding in the way you imagine is unfortunate. But I think at this time, we cannot be wiser than Tinubu. Tinubu understands exactly what is going on. He is one of those 4 successive government administrations that have handled this government in Nigeria for the past 2 decades. And so he understands the threat on the ground, and he knows where to go for help. And at this time, it is just right that Tinubu collaborate with the international community, particularly America. What people don't understand with America is that they think America is a country that is sitting there that will just look at Nigeria differently. America is a country that is made up of so many nationalities that have come into that country to make up the nation. There are a lot of Nigerians in America that are also concerned about their motherland. And so for America to say we are going to take action, it's clear that Nigerians who are Nigerian American have had it to their nose. And so to think that we are going to muzzle any power here to stand against the perception of America, it will be futile. So we are saying that the international community have made observation. It is time for us to sit down as a nation to look at what is happening to our country. When we advise that other religions should never see themselves as supreme in this country, people think that we are talking because we are just a small powered religion. That's why we are trying to chicken out. No, it's only a strong man that gives room for another. And as Christians, we have taken the mantle of leadership in this country for a long time. And that's why we are the ones dying for it. And it is time that the blood of those who have died should bring solution to this situation. Anybody who is standing against this solution that is coming in this country must be checked, because it is the one that possibly is against the life and solution for furtherance of this country. And so we are saying that enough is enough. The world is looking at it. America has said that they are taking action. We don't even know the direction of their action, but we Nigerians are glad that at least some countries are looking into the issue and are offering help for us to move on as a nation. So we see that the Muslim community are quiet at this time. In fact, some of them are applauding the American stand, and that is the way to go. We are not saying that because we say there is Christian genocide, then the death of another does not matter. No, for Tinubu to become a president of Nigeria does not mean Nigerians don't matter. He is the head. We have taken the position as a Christian, as a religious body, to say that we are going to advocate. If Muslims do not see that advocating for the death of their own adherents does not matter, we are not going to stand to watch it go that way. We are going to advocate for the death of our people. And it's only right for them to join to say, yes, Muslims are also dying. Could you also look into our matter? And that solution will be done. And so we are close to it, and we are trusting God that solution has come for the future of this country.
All right, thank you very much, sir. We heard you loud and clear that solution has come for the Christians in the middle belt of Nigeria. We also have a comment from one of our viewers this morning, and we'll be taking that via my co-anchor.
All right. Someone said, just my honest thought, most of the people in Jos are Christians, and it's the same in Benue and even some part of Kaduna. People keep saying Christians are being killed, but if America ever decides to attack Nigeria in the name of protecting Christians, where exactly will they go? Zamfara, Sokoto, or Katsina? And if they go to Jos to protect Christians, how would they separate them from the Muslims without harming innocent people too? In the end, the majority will suffer the most, whether Muslims or Christians. So honestly, there's no real benefit in such an action. What we need is peace, justice, and unity, not more bloodshed. Anonymous. And also we have a comment from a viewer that said some of the state actors should be brought to book, especially governors, past and present, ministers, senators, etc. All should be made to face probe over their hands in such compliance. This is coming from Akuna.
All right, sorry, we hold your thought there. We have a caller from Benue State.
Yeah, good morning, my people.
Good morning, sir.
I thank you people so much for this live conversation you people have brought to us this morning. Anyway, for long I miss you people contact because of all this network situation, but eventually I have to call the engineer to come and fix it back to me, because I'm always interested in watching you people and listening and contribute to my own quarter.
We appreciate it. Thank you.
You see, it is the only enemy of a family that will see what is good and say it is not good. It is only enemies of progress. Because for US to be coming in, it simply means they have been at watch. They have been watching and listening. And that's what my people said. What an old man sit down and see, a child with climb Iroko tree will not see it. And some people will be watching and seeing what is happening. Then we keep quiet. And sometimes people feel that their mind is not there. So that is the mistake a lot of Nigerians are making, or a lot of human beings are making. So when you come to this issue now, we are talking about Middle Belt, we talk about Plateau, Jos, and other things. Even in Southeast, it's still happening. When Trump won election in 2016, the people in the Southeast were jubilating. And they have to send the military Muslims from the North. They went and cleared many boys. We saw it in the Facebook, we saw it in the net. We had it. So whenever issue happens in somewhere like Southeast, you will see sending troops who are Muslims to the east. And the kind of assault, more or less, they are giving the people there is unbearable. You can imagine when bus loaded with 18 seaters will come to checking point, people will drop and cross with their leg, and the motor will cross. After the motor cross, they will now go to the cross and enter their buses and go back to where they are going. So all those things is what we are talking about. So every state in this country has their own way. They are being mishandled by the military personnel of the Islam people in this country. When Buhari was a president, we saw what happened. Even Gumi that didn't say anything about it. The killing was so much during Buhari administration, and everybody knows it. And even when Trump raised the issue, the people from the north were still commenting about it. They were lamenting that if America attacked Nigeria because of this, that this is going to happen. And all the television have been watching, all the people that didn't accept such thing are the Northerners. But the America is not saying they are coming to clear all the Muslims. They said they are coming to fish out all the terrorists, that those in charge killing the Christians in Nigeria. So I don't know why they are understanding it in different perceptions. So I don't understand. So what we are saying is that whatever government will do, especially American government, to help the killing is much. And just like one of the speakers said, Nigerian government does not have value on human life. We don't have value life. Even when they keep people in jail, when may he so rest in peace, when Buhari was a president, he went to Lagos for function. He didn't concern about the people that were killed. He was in occasion there in Lagos. So they doesn't take people's life as anything. Because of their evil mind, because of their corruption, because of their criminal mind they have. So they don't value us as a human being.
All right, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We heard you loud and clear. Please, viewers, take note that the comment and the opinion shared by any of our guests or any of our callers is strictly and solely theirs, and they are responsible for that. And we are going to be looking at a political dynamism to this, and we are looking at the response of some of the political leaders in Nigeria as regards this United States CPC, where country of particular concern, that they have placed Nigeria. And we are looking at, the likes of Alhaji Atiku Waziri Abubakar, the Lamido of Adamawa, who prior to the build-up of the 2023 general election couldn't stand when a Christian girl, Deborah, was lynched to death in Bauchi State. We also have another presidential candidate who was also caught on a leaked tape that said the last election was a religious war. And we also have both of them have been conspicuously quiet, and we have another presidential candidate in the person of Rabbi Musa Kwankwaso, who have actually come out, to hear his own view and opinion, to say, what, yes, killings are happening, there is insecurity everywhere, but we are not going to be taking the sovereignty of Nigeria for levity. And I'm going to be, to be talking to Venerable Justice Okoronkwo. Just your take on this political dynamism. Some opposition leaders have been quiet. The one that has come out to speak have, in a way, thrown his weight behind the government of the day in the country, and we have Christians in the Middle Belt who are actually feeling the brunt of all of these things and who are in the center of this story. What do you think?
It's very unfortunate the way politics is played out in Nigeria. The kind of interest people protect show again where their goal is very unfortunate. For instance, look at the statistics that are staring us in the face. Global Terrorism Index 2020 said Nigeria is number 2 in Global Terrorism Index, where things are happening. Again, country most affected by terrorism, Nigeria is number 2 after Afghanistan. Country that has the highest death related to terrorism, Nigeria is placed as number 3 after Afghanistan again and Iraq. Then does it mean it doesn't bother people? Right now, the number of children that are out of school in the whole world, it used to be Pakistan, number 1. Now it is Nigeria. Nigeria has the highest number of children out of school. Why is that so? The statistics that put Nigeria as number 1 is mainly because of what is happening within the northeastern Nigeria. Christians are affected, Muslims are affected. Should that not be the concern of those who are seeking political offices? Our school, St. Paul's High School, St. Paul's College in Jos, and St. Michael's College in Jos, here, where I have been the school manager by the grace of God, represent the bishop. With our policy, we have Muslim children in our school whose parents cannot pay school fees, and we provide this kind of services for them. You find the Muslim children in the market and our Christian children living together, and so you find that the common person on the street in Nigeria just wants to survive. He just wants to survive. These issues of the killings is supposed to be something that the politicians should put mouth into so that the people on the street can live their simple lives and be able to go. But when it doesn't happen, and for political interest, people are unable to speak into it, it shows again that there is no courage in addressing the truth. And it shows that the politics that doesn't have a philosophy, many of our politicians don't even have a philosophy that you can say they are abiding with. They don't have a principle by which they are running. That is why political prostitution, the way you're seeing within the parties, is happening. It is not a good signal. What do you stand for? What did you promise the people? What are supposed to be the things that you discharge as evidence of your being in office? Are these things coming out the way they should be? Nigeria right now, so I'm talking to you, 1 out of 8, 8 out of 10 Nigerians are using generator to provide electricity. In Nigeria right now, we are number 3 in the world where there are no toilets. Open defecation, we are number 4 in the world where people are defecating outside. These things don't bother people. Okay, these people can sleep, politicians can sleep with this kind of statistics. What we are saying, and what Uncle Lido is also saying, my brethren, is that should we also sleep when people are dying? When people are dying, and you have the facts of the people dying, you can go there, you verify for yourself. The people killing them are coming with a religious ideology. Should people keep quiet? And then people are now saying somebody is talking from outside. We forgot that we are in an era of technology. One of the things that globalization has done is intensification of awareness and shrinking of boundaries. Things that are happening now, in those 20 years ago, it would take a week for you to know what is happening in America. But today, something that is happening here is already known all over. So for us to be pretending or to be playing the ostrich, knowing that these things are happening and then hoping that people in the world will not speak into it.
All right, sir.
All right, presents an image out there. So I think that our politicians should actually embrace the reality. The Gen Zs are watching them. The Gen Alphas are watching them. And they can see how lame some of these people are. You must stand by an ideology which defends the right of all people, whether Muslims or Christians, and create the enabling environment for them to live well and achieve their goal in life. That is what you were called for.
All right, thank you, Venerable. Thank you, Venerable. We hear you loud and clear. And I will be going to Mr. Mark Libdo, and in about just a minute, we want to hear your view about what Comrade Yele or Omo Yele Sowore says, which said U.S. military interventions leave nations more unstable. Sowore wants Nigeria, because this is an activist who has been known to be one of the #1 antagonists to this administration. So when someone like this is coming out to give this kind of remarks, your own opinion in 2 minutes.
Yeah, I would say that there is no two situations that are the same. Nigeria's situation is unique, and if we understand it, and if the international community understands it and will cooperate with the international community, ours will be the example for the rest of the world to understand that this violence can be handled. I will tell you that there is no Nigerian that is at war with one another. What we are having here is an infiltration of terrorists who hold an ideology, supremacist ideology, extremist Islamic ideology that make them to play and believe and live a kind of life within the society. And these people can be identified. They can be picked up. Nigerians are weary of them, both Christians and Muslims. You can imagine that in Katsina, people are considering trying to pay tax for them to have peace. Would these people carry arms against a state? You know, we are a constituted state that we believe that no other person should be authorized to carry arms except those that the state actors have allowed. But we have non-state actors carrying ammunition, threatening the citizens, and nothing is being done. So we are sure that America will not miss it this time. America is coming, not for Nigerians. Okay. America is coming for terrorists. And they know where they are.
All right, sir.
Nigerians who are weary of this terrorism also know where they are. And so my take is that ours, and at least Christians, have laid their lives enough for this kind of terrorism to be handled. And I believe that Nigeria's success will lead the world and give a direction for the world leaders to find a way of handling this situation once and for all.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. We want to appreciate you there for your thought, and thank you for staying with us on the show this morning. We will go to Venerable Justice Okoronkwo. Just your final thoughts. The same question. Your thoughts about Omoyele Showore's remarks about the intervention of the United States in Nigeria in 30 seconds, if you can be more brief.
Again, just like Uncle Lindo said, our multiculturality is not just, it's a strength, it's a source of strength, and I believe that the people coming will really consider that. Then secondly, just as there's a lot of misinterpretation, coming doesn't mean an invasion of our sovereignty. It doesn't mean they are coming to fight with our soldiers and all that. Just as he said, if they are coming in that way, they can come through policy pressure, they can come through advocacy, they can come through providing of logistics, they can come through giving us the necessary intelligence that we need, that our soldiers need. There are different ways they can come in. It's not necessarily bringing people for kinetic intervention, which is normally the last option. But the most important thing is for us to be open to say, yes, we have a problem that we are unable to handle on our own, and that we are open for help from friends. If a friend comes to help you, you should accept it for something that you're unable to do for yourself, and for the casualties that you are having for the thing you're unable to do. So I think that we should accept that help, and then we should sit down and be able to look at what kind of help is coming and how will it affect our status quo and affect our social dynamics and maintain the kind of balance that we need to have. And just as Uncle Lito said, I believe that the people coming must have considered all this, that some of the fears people are exhibiting are actually false dilemma.
All right, thank you very much, Venerable Justice Okoronkwo, there for your final thoughts, and I assume to your parting shots.
Thank you, Bolu, for that. I stand with what our two online guests has said earlier, and before I give my thought, I still have a comment from a viewer I was going to read before you asked me to hold my thought. He said, I think what we need in Nigeria is union. Let's keep religion and tribe aside and face our leaders in this country. I believe they just want to use us again. This is coming from Easy. My final thought, I believe this is political, and I strongly believe that it's the hands of governments are involved in this, because there have been incidents of supplies of ammunition to these people with choppers, and do you know what it means? So when you say sovereign, sometimes I look, who told you guys that you are sovereign? And if we just bear the title a sovereign nation, but there's nothing sovereign about Nigeria, because you can't say you have an airspace and then within the conference of your airspace, supplies, ammunitions are being supplied to these people using choppers. So how did they come into your airspace? So, and we saying Trump, his agendas, his our resources and all of that. The resources has actually been taken over by our politicians. They give it out to illegal miners. They get their benefits from it. They are sharing the national resources. So if Trump also needs a share of it, he should come and take his own share if he's going to offer a help to us. And trust me, these guys are even more informed than we in Nigeria. They have gotten their findings, they have made their inquiries, and they know where exactly these people are. Our government too know, but because it's political, they decide to keep quiet about it. Thank you, bro.
All right, thank you very much there for your thoughts, Somtochukwu. And as we draw this conversation to a close, one truth stands clear. Nigeria stands at a defining moment in our story. The words of President Donald Trump have once again placed our nation before the eyes of the world, not merely as a point of concern, but as a test of conscience. And while every life lost is a wound to our collective soul, we must also look beyond foreign voices to examine the deeper realities within our own borders. For us as Christians, this is not a time to be fearful, but a time to be awake, spiritually discerning, prayerfully steadfast, and socially responsible. The church must continue to be the conscience of the nation, shining light in dark places, advocating for justice, and reminding our leaders that peace built on fairness is the only peace that lasts. Yet, as citizens, we must also remain alert. History has shown that foreign interests often wear the garment of concern, yet behind it may lie motives of influence, control, or access to our nation's vast resources. Let us therefore listen carefully, discern wisely, and respond as a united people who understand that our destiny cannot be outsourced to our leaders. This is not a time for silence or slow response. The safety of Nigerians, Christians, Muslims, and every faith in between is the first duty of governance. The time to act is now. Strengthen our security, uphold justice, protect the innocent, and rebuild the trust of our people who long for peace and fairness in their homeland. And to every believer watching, let faith remain your anchor, wisdom your guard, and unity your weapon. Nigeria's story is still being written. Let it not be written in fear or division, but in courage, compassion, and hope. I remain your anchor, Boluwatife Adegboyi. Thank you for joining us on the Now Streaming Show this morning on ACNNTV. Stay watchful, stay prayerful, and stay true to the call of peace. Good morning once again, and God bless Nigeria.